Hi, my name is Katharine Gelinas, and I'm a graduate student at San Francisco State University. And today I'll be telling you a little bit about my research, investigating instructor talk in undergraduate biology laboratory classrooms taught by graduate teaching assistants. I'd like to start by having you think about whichever of these two prompts best fits your current situation. So what, if anything, do you remember your instructors saying in class that was not about content? Or if you're currently teaching, what, if anything, do you as an instructor say in your classroom that is not about content? Take a couple moments to think about this. Now that you've had a chance to think about your own experiences, I'd like to share mine. When I was an undergraduate, on one of the first days of class, I had an instructor say, "Don't come to my office hours or ask me anything unless you've asked a TA first." And this immediately gave me the impression that this instructor didn't care about me as a student, didn't want to get to know me or speak to me ever. And so I never once spoke with this instructor in person. And it impacted my education and my ability to learn in that class. And while our experiences are incredibly important, there is also a broader significance. In their book, Talking About Leaving, Seymour and Hewitt discuss how students leave the sciences at alarming rates. And this isn't inherently a problem. Students leave disciplines all the time. The real problem is that we can predict who leaves based on personal characteristics. Women, students of color, first-generation college-going, LGBTQIA students all leave the sciences at greater rates than their counterparts. And there are a couple reasons why we think this might be the case. One of them is that we think there may be a lack of a sense of belonging for these students in science, and that this lack of sense of belonging is affected by the classroom environment they're in, and that this classroom environment is built and affected by what instructors say and do in their classrooms. This brings me to instructor talk, which is any language used by an instructor that is not directly related to the concepts under study, but instead focuses on creating the learning environment. And this has been studied previously in the context of faculty teaching lecture classrooms by Seidel et al. And Harrison et al. However, there's still a gap in the literature regarding non-content language used by GTAs and in laboratory classrooms, which I think can be particularly important because of the near-peer relationship that exists between undergraduates and GTAs, and because GTAs teach many of our lower division courses, the courses that undergraduates encounter before they might be leaving the sciences. Let me further elaborate on what I mean by instructor talk. It can be positively phrased, such as, "Get to know your classmates. I cannot stress enough that we have a really big class. There should be at least 10 people that get you, have the same classes as you, can support you. This is a science community, and the more I can foster that, the better you're going to do in this class." Or, "What we're going to do now is, I want to get to know you all." It can also be negatively phrased, such as, "Okay, so should we get started so we can leave? I like leaving. Yeah, that's always an incentive. So I have this, they gave me like yarn to demonstrate mitosis, but I would rather show you a video, like always, because I'm actually not sure how to do it with yarn." This made me particularly interested in a few research questions. The first of which is, to what extent is instructor talk present in biology laboratory classrooms taught by GTAs? To what extent does the quantity of instructor talk found in biology laboratory classrooms taught by GTAs differ from that found in lecture classrooms taught by faculty? And to what extent do the categories of instructor talk found in biology laboratory classrooms taught by GTAs differ from that found in lecture classrooms taught by faculty? How I investigated these research questions are, I recruited GTAs, 24 of them, who were teaching undergraduate biology laboratory courses at San Francisco State University. Then collected data. These GTAs audio recorded their courses throughout the semester, and throughout this process, their identity was protected. Then I analyzed the data. I transcribed these recordings, and then coded any potential instance of instructor talk using the framework that was previously established by Seidel et al. And Harrison et al. And my first finding is that instructor talk is indeed found in biology laboratory classes taught by GTAs. It was found in every course studied, though to wildly varying degrees. You can see here on this graph, with our y-axis of number of instructor talk instances per 30 minutes of instruction, The rate of instructor talk varied from 2 instances per 30 minutes to 44 instances per 30 minutes in the courses sampled. And for my next finding, I'd like to have you make a prediction. Do you predict GTAs use more, less, or the same amount of instructor talk as faculty? Where again on this graph, we have the average number of instances per 30 minutes of instruction, and we're going to compare the averages of GTAs to the average of faculty. Take a minute to think about this. And what we found is that GTAs use instructor talk at a similar rate, if not slightly more, as faculty do. I'm also going to show you, in addition to this bar graph, a box and whisker plot here for 2 reasons. The first being that it shows the individual instructors plotted, because I think the variation between use of instructor talk is important. And also because it shows this point at 44 instances per 30 minutes that is driving significance between GTAs and faculty. Because it was only this one instructor driving significance, we think this is not an important difference between the use of instructor talk between GTAs and faculty. My next finding is that GTAs use positively phrased instructor talk at similar rates as faculty. You can see here in this graph, across all 5 positively phrased categories, GTAs use roughly the same amount of instructor talk as faculty do. And for my last finding, I'd like to have you make another prediction. Do you predict GTAs use more, less, or the same amount of negatively phrased instructor talk as faculty across the 5 negatively phrased categories? Take another moment to think about it. What we found is that GTAs actually use one particular category of negatively phrased instructor talk, dismantling the instructor-student relationship, at a greater rate than faculty. We think this may be due to the dichotomy of identities that many GTAs experience in the classroom, where they feel the near-peer relationship between themselves and their students, while also feeling the need to assert and maintain their authority in the classroom. Now, I don't think this is unique to GTAs, but rather an artifact of many GTAs being very new to teaching. Another pattern that we think might be driving this difference between GTAs and faculty in their use of negatively phrased instructor talk is this pattern we've noticed of switching between positively and negatively phrased instructor talk with GTAs. Such as, this is kind of your first step into being in the academic professional world, and the biggest thing you can do with anyone, not even just me, is just communicate. Let me know, but also know that I was a student too. So when you hit me with like the 5 minutes to class, like my tire blew out and some crazy excuse, I'm gonna say okay, and I'm not gonna call you out on it, but I know that probably didn't happen. So just give me the honesty, and I'll give you that respect in return. We believe that these potential new patterns and differences between instructor talk in different contexts could be incredibly important for the experiences our undergraduates are having. And so some future directions I'd like to take this research are, I'd like to continue analyzing this data, particularly looking at instructors' prior pedagogical training. I'd like to consider how instructor talk can be incorporated into pedagogical training to help improve it. And I'd like to investigate instructor talk in other novel contexts, such as K-12 education, R1 universities, informal education, and so many others. I'd like to conclude by thanking the amazing graduate teaching assistants who participated in this research, the Department of Biology at San Francisco State University for allowing me to conduct this research, my supportive CEPL colleagues, and of course, my wonderful mentor, Dr. Kimberly Tanner. And lastly, I'd like to thank you for listening to me share about my research. I hope you have a wonderful day.